Hello, everybody. This is Yoko's Otaku Treasures. I can't talk apparently today. And this is going to be my review for episodes 5 and 6. And oh my god, I'm so scared for episodes 7 and 8, considering what is going to probably happen. Because you guys do know that Val had actually asked the question to Vox, well, how are we going to get up there? Because the only way to get up there is through portal. Because they don't believe in the redemption thing, and you can't even realistically redeem enough people to amass an army to get up there. And even if they did somehow do that, who's to say that those people was like, hey, this place is nice. I'm not going to go against them. I'm going to go do what I want in heaven. So, yeah. We actually get a potential answer at the end of episode 6. And I hate it. I hate it because this could end up hurting Lucifer. Literally, essentially. Anyway, episode 5. I think it had 3 songs in it. Let me think. No, it had 2? Yeah, it had 2. Vox Populi and Bad Like Us. Yeah, that was Lucifer's part and Vox's part were both part of the same song. Okay, yeah. Okay. Anyway, Charlie is desperately, trying to guide a plane, trying to get Emily's attention in order to be able to, get her to calm down and be able to maybe explain things, maybe give them what they need in order to prove Vox wrong, you know? But I mean, even if she somehow managed to prove Vox was lying, that doesn't necessarily gonna change what he's trying to do, because he's not outright saying that redemption is impossible. Sorry. He's trying to get to attack heaven, essentially, and be able to rule it. And, yeah, Vaggie tries to get her to come inside and stop this, get some rest, maybe do some stuff with her, because she thinks that this is not helping, essentially. And, again, Charlie doesn't listen to her. And I understand she's desperate, and that she thinks that maybe if Emily and the others, like I said, disproved proved that Penchas is in heaven, and that redemption is possible, that things would be magically fixed. And obviously, that's probably not going to be the case. Because even if Penchas somehow came down to heaven, which I don't think he can. I mean, Emily probably wasn't lying when she said that he wouldn't be able to leave. That he physically could not leave heaven once he got there. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess that only applies to winners and sinners, respectfully, because apparently sinners can't leave the Pride Ring. Because as far as we know, we have not seen any other sinners in any of the other rings. Do we? Do we see them in Hell of a Boss? Let me know, because I don't think I've ever seen any sinners in Hell of a Boss outside the Pride Ring. I could be wrong. I don't know. Anyway, Vaggie gets an idea on how to stop Vox and doesn't even tell Charlie about this. She could have at least run it by her to see if maybe she thought that might be a good idea. Or maybe they could have, all put their heads together to try and get Alistair back. And then they all could have gone on and maybe if they could get Lucifer and Alistair to put their differences aside, at least to make sure that, Vox and them didn't get what they wanted. And then they could start their rivalry all over again. But, no, she doesn't run this by her, so they're probably both at fault at this for not communicating with each other, essentially, on this. And goes to talk to Lucifer. And, now that I know the whole thing with Angel Dust, I really wish she hadn't told him what she finds out. But she obviously didn't know this information. None of them knew. Not even Angel Dust knew this information. Essentially. That's in episode 6. We find out in episode 6. But anyway, she goes to find Lucifer. Apparently, I guess he was had dogpiled into a pile of ducks or something, because they're all over him, including his head. All over his head, his clothes, stuck into him like glue, essentially. Like, they're essentially like Velcro sticking to him, essentially. And I didn't mention it in the reaction because I didn't notice it. I wasn't really paying attention to the stuff in the background, but apparently there's stuff involving the other sins in the background in his room. A bribe from Mammon, a Belphegor plushie, I'm guessing something from Ozzy, and I think Beelzebub sweets, stuff like that, you know, like little nods to them telling him, please come back. Please. But, yeah. She tries to get him to, like, you know, she tells him what's going on, because Charlie hasn't mentioned to him that, all this is going on, that Vox essentially has been shit-talking her and calling her an evil dictator, blah, 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 and he obviously gets royally pissed off, and, rightfully so, because that's a starter they're talking about. And Vaggie tries to tell him, oh, why don't you go on and smite, I don't know, smite him or something, and he reveals that he physically can't. He can't do anything to the sinner, so if a sinner was to attack him, he couldn't physically do anything to them. Which is, not good. And she's like, you know, why don't you just bluff? I mean, he doesn't probably know this. None of them knew this. I mean, heck, we didn't know this. But... And he was like, okay, and or at first he wasn't going to. And then she's like, well, I would have asked Alistair, but he's unavailable. And he's like, oh, no, I am like 500% better than that little red that red loudspeaker, essentially. And, oh, how I love Lucifer, and I love Jeremy Jordan by proxy because of his voice. Lucifer as a character is my absolute favorite. And then there's it's Lucifer, Alistair, who else was my favorites? Angel was up there, Penchus, and then, you know, it keeps going down, but, yeah, Lucifer is definitely my favorite. And it gets to the rally, and there's a ton of people there. And I actually forgot to mention this, but at the beginning of the episode, there was a musical for the other Overlords. And Vox is trying to appeal to them and get them on his side to go on and attack Heaven. And the only ones who didn't outright agree were Carmilla and Zestiel. Those are the main... And he didn't go and see Rosie, I don't think. Because I didn't see him pop in. Maybe he didn't go see Rosie because he knew that she was already on Charlie's side and helped her. So maybe that's why he didn't go to her. But at the same time, he tries to go to Carmilla later to get her on his side, despite the fact that she was the one who provided Charlie with the angelic steel weapons in the battle last season. So maybe at some point he'll try to go to Rosie before they get the power source for their weapon. Oh, God. I really do hope that Lucifer sees right through it, please. I don't want to see him get hurt. I don't want to see anything happen to him. No, don't put the poor boy through anything else. He's been through enough. Anyway, yeah, the rally is happening. And tons of sinners are there. I don't know if every sinner is there, but at least a good portion of them are. And Alistair's just sitting there. He just slides into view at one point. He's like, do you really want to go off stage like that? And he's essentially trying to divide the V's. Trying to get him to act more like, essentially, yeah, this is all about me, and nobody else. And the V's are starting to see this, but they're not saying anything yet. They kind of do start talking about this in episode 6, but not full-on cutting ties with him yet. I'm assuming that's part of his plan, or at least, like I said, like a part of his plan. I don't think that's his entire plan, because that still doesn't get him out of his deal with Rosie, really. It would just divide the V's and make Vox weaker, essentially, because he keeps on saying that Vox is nothing without the other two. I was like, what the fuck was that for a second? I was like, wait, that's my heater. Yeah, I got a heater, like, right next to... Like, right beside my chair, essentially. My mom put it in here to keep the room warm, because I don't know if you guys know, but when you're on your computer, your hands get cold. So, yeah. Anyway, he's trying to divide the V's, and I guess derail their plan before it gets started, hopefully. Or at least before it gets to the end part where they're trying to storm into heaven. Hopefully that's the case. Because if he can pull that off, at the very least that will help Charlie and the others. But how this gets him out of Rosie's deal, I don't know. At the very least, he's trying to get his staff fixed. At the very least. Because I think that's the source of most of his power, essentially. Or at least a good chunk of it. Because he's not able to get big, he's not able to do other stuff without that staff. And, yeah, it's not really much of a help. So, I'm hoping that this is part of the way to get Rosie to fix the staff. I don't know how, though. But, yeah. Vox goes out to the rally, starts talking to people, and before things get too far into it, Lucifer shows up in a epic rock portion of his song, looking badass, and just overall just making me love him even more, essentially. And my mom would probably hate me saying I love Lucifer, but if she was watching the show with me, she probably would agree, despite the fact that he's, the king of hell, he's the devil himself. But this Lucifer I wouldn't mind liking, essentially. I don't know about the real thing. I really don't know about the real thing, but this Lucifer in this show I do like. Not the real devil himself, obviously. But, yeah, he shows up and tries to intimidate Vox, and Vox has no expression change during this little intimidation stuff. Which makes me think that he knows that Lucifer is trying to bluff his way out of this. He even tried to tell him, oh, go ahead, smite me. That's what all you angels tend to do, essentially. And, he tries, and he can't. It's like there's an invisible wall there or something. Or something essentially stops him, like right before it hits him. Which makes me wonder why. Why would they stop the King of Hell from being able to discipline his own people? It's like stopping Sarah from being able to keep the winners in line. If they were to do something like this, But then again, they wouldn't be winners if that was the case. They'd be going down to hell, But why do this? It's just essentially just making it punishment for him, essentially. Because hell is supposed to be technically punishment for the sinners that have gone to hell, essentially. That's what it's supposed to be, is punishment for them. Why are you just punishing him? Surely you would want the one who's in charge of all the sinners to be able to keep them in line in case they try to rebel like this. Ever think that maybe that would be, a good idea? Surely you would think that Sarah would see this and wait a minute, maybe that would be a good idea if you could keep these guys in line. Because he kind of can't right now. He's only a king in name only, essentially, at this point. He can't even control his subjects. And that's the bad thing. They're trying to rebel not against him, but against heaven. And he can not do a damn thing to stop it, essentially. Because if he was to try, he wouldn't be able to stop them. Only thing he could do would be to put some kind of angelic barrier to where they couldn't get to heaven. But even then, like I said, the only way to get to heaven really is through portal. So that's why they're trying to get Lucifer as a fucking battery. Oh dear. Like I said, I really do hope that he sees through this and doesn't get caught. Because I don't want to see the poor guy go through that. He's already been through enough. Anyway, Vox ends up spinning this and essentially saying that we don't need a king. I'm essentially the ruler. You guys should follow me because I have your best interest at heart. Blah, 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 blah. Trying to turn all of hell against Lucifer and the others. And at this point, Sarah... Actually, no. He ends up bringing Lilith into this a lot. Saying that she would want this, that she would want them to resist, and blah, blah, blah. Even saying that this is why Lilith left. Because she didn't want... Because... Yeah, and this gets him pissed off, obviously. And that's when he tells him to smite him. I mean, yeah, but this is his wife he's talking about. Of course he would hate that. And at this point, Sarah and the others show up because they were watching what Charlie was doing and decided, maybe we should go down there and say something, even though Sarah didn't want to. Emily was adamant about doing it, and Luke was in that meeting and didn't complain about it, because I'm assuming this was probably her only way to get back down to hell because of the barrier. And actually, they need to keep that barrier up, because like Sarah said, nobody would be able to get in or out, and they would have to go through extra security, which means that maybe they'd be able to keep them out. Even if they were to somehow breach it and make a portal to go into heaven. I'm really hoping that's the case. Because, yeah, it's the only thing keeping them from going after the winners in heaven. That would be bad. And we still got 2 episodes left, apparently, of Season 2. Which actually, does anybody remember them saying that there was going to be more than just 8 episodes? I could have swore, I'm not guaranteeing it, but I could swear that I had seen something that said that we were getting more than 8 episodes this season. I could swear that that was the case. Or maybe they assumed that since there was going to be like a certain number of songs, they kind of deduced that each episode would have 2 songs like the other ones did, like last season did. But they probably weren't counting on them doing 3 songs for every other episode. Which would have made it, if we were getting 3 songs per every other episode. 2 songs, 3 songs, 2 songs, 3 songs, 3 times 4 is 12. There would have been 16 songs altogether. Because it would have been 5 songs, and 2, 5, 7, 10. No, it would have been 20 songs. I'm dumb. Yeah, it would have been 20 songs, so they probably assumed there was going to be at least 10 episodes. Instead of 8. Wait. Only 2 episodes more? No, that wouldn't be right. Hold on. Half the episodes would be 3. I'm getting my math here wrong somehow. Anyway, I'll figure that out later. I'll put it in the comments, I guess. But yeah, I assumed that we were getting more episodes than just 8. Wasn't that the point, that things were getting better? I don't know, but anyway, Sarah and the others think Sister Pench's essentially quoting the whole "it starts with sorry." I mean, yes, it does, but they could have done it a little differently, and the timing was very, very, very bad. The timing was bad. They should have showed up with They should have either showed up with Lucifer or showed up before Lucifer, and they could have explained things and maybe kept Lucifer from going cuckoo, or not going cuckoo, from making things potentially worse because he spinned it, like I said. And they could have essentially said, "We're not attacking hell anymore. We're getting rid of this," and they'll snap their fingers and get rid of the stupid clock that has the extermination times. And essentially said, "We're gonna keep the barrier up for now. We're not gonna bother you guys. You don't bother us. We don't bother you, and it'll be fine." Essentially, and they keep the barrier up to make sure, obviously this doesn't happen, and just essentially show with their actions, not with their words, that they do actually feel bad for what they did. Essentially, because actions speak heck of a lot louder than words at this point. Because they brought freaking gift baskets, for crying out loud. Do you really think the gift baskets are going to smooth things over for genocide? Because I don't think so. If it was just a simple, "Oh, I accidentally messed up on something. Here's a gift basket. I'm sorry." Yes, that would work. But with genocide, you're going to have to do a lot more than just a gift basket to amend things on this one. I'm sorry to say that, but yeah. I understand what Charlie was wanting, but just the timing. The timing was bad. How they handled it was bad. Everything just went bad for the good guys. The good guys. I say that like there's a good guy, bad guy thing in this one. I mean, Charlie is technically the good guy, but they're in hell, so it's kind of, yeah. Anyway, Vox obviously spins it, and Sarah gets pissed, and this is like, these two kinds of people are the reason why I allowed the exterminations in the first place. Because she was afraid of an uprising, and this is exactly the reason why she had allowed it. Because this was happening. Not back then, obviously, or maybe not back then, we don't know. Because Lilith left 7 years ago, the extermination started 7 years ago, and the Alistair left 7 years ago. There's got to be some kind of reasoning for that. And I'm assuming that they thought that Lilith was probably the mastermind of the resistance and rising up against hell thing. And when Charlie finds out that her dad had shown up earlier to try and stop this, she was royally pissed off about it. And I can understand that, but at the same time, she has not been listening to Vaggie and the others about any of this, essentially. So I can understand that, but at the same time, now that I'm thinking about it, no, it would have been 10 episodes. Because if it was 2 episodes per song, 2 songs per episode, last season, that was 16 songs, technically. So adding... Why am I... Yeah, because I was thinking... I don't know why... What the fuck I was thinking? Like, I was getting myself confused. Anyway, yeah, it would have been 10 episodes at the very least. Or maybe this is going to be like a half a season, like it's part 1, and then we'll get part 2 of season 2 maybe another time? I'm kind of hoping that's the case. Because this seems all very, very rushed, essentially. Going straight into war, and we only got 2 episodes left, essentially. There's no way they can get the whole conflict against Heaven finished without being very, very, very rushed. Anyway, obviously Vox, like I said, spins it, and Sarah, like I said, gets pissed off, and Vox indirectly declares a holy war against Heaven. Vox obviously is not the ruler, so it shouldn't have near as much weight as if Lucifer did it. But considering this is what Sarah was worried about in the first place, it still has a lot of merit, especially since they're trying. They're actively trying to usurp Heaven at this point. And Sarah and the others leave, which is good. I think Lute left with them. I didn't quite look. I'd have to go back and look at the episode, but I think she left and went back to Heaven with them. Which is, good, considering I didn't want her to stick around in hell and potentially cause more problems for Charlie. She probably saw all the problems that was going on for her right now and figured, I could deal with this another time. Because Heaven's gotten its own issues to deal with right now, so I think she felt it was probably better to be there. I'm really hoping, anyway. Or maybe she figured that maybe Charlie would end up dying during this whole thing, dealing with Vox, so maybe she thought maybe that would happen. I don't know. But, yeah, when they get back to the hotel after this whole thing, she gets pretty pissed off, not just at Lucifer, but at Vaggie for going behind her back, and like I said, this is the whole communication thing. But Vaggie finally lets her have it and tells her, you have not been listening to anything we have been trying to tell you. We've been trying to tell you that Vox is going to spin it no matter what you say to him. And she has not been listening at all to anything. She kept on pushing boundaries. She kept on doing what she thought was best without consulting the others and thinking, maybe it's a good idea if I try and get other people's opinions on this, considering it involves them, you know? And she essentially gets pissed off at her dad and tells him to leave. And obviously this hurts the poor guy because he had just mended this relationship with her. And she's pissed off at him now. And he just, like, okay. And he leaves. And he's packing up to leave. So, she's obviously, like I said, pissed off at Vaggie. Vaggie gets pissed off and tells her, yeah, I'm not dealing with this. If you want to just stick your head in the sand and just ignore anybody else's advice but your own, fine, whatever, I'm leaving. And she walks off. So, yeah, all this is going on. And in the next episode, I was like, oh, please don't make things worse. In the next episode, before I started watching it, oh my god. Faggy and Charlie are, fighting, obviously, and there's like, Husk, could you tell Faggy this? Or, Husk, could you tell Charlie this? Just acting very petty towards her. And Husk gets very fed up at this. I was like, I'm not dealing with this high school bullshit. You guys can figure this out. You need to stop fighting. Figure this out because we got an issue, but I'm done. I'm leaving. And he leaves. Because, Alistair's not there anymore. And he has no reason to be there. But they were like, oh, wait, what about Angel Dust? And he's like, he's a grown-up. He doesn't need me. And just like from what Angel Dust had told him before, I don't need your help, Whiskers. So yeah, him saying that is coming back and biting him in the ass, essentially. And dang it, I'm trying to remember what else happens in this episode, because it's Vox is trying to get Carmilla on his side, and obviously she holds her ground. It's like, I don't want to deal with this, because I'm not getting involved. I'm not putting anybody else in danger. I'm not losing anybody else. And when she says I'm not losing anybody else, it pans over to what looks like a pair of wedding rings. Was she married at some point? And if so, is she Hellboard? Because, as far as we know, can Hellboards be Overlords? If so, that would explain Rosie. But if not, then what the fuck? How did her husband, I'm assuming, and both her daughters end up in hell? What did they all do to end up in hell? Is it like a Serpentious thing where they were funding a war or something with weapons during, I don't know, and they carried the guilt of having taken so many lives because of their weapons by proxy, and that's what got them into hell? I don't know. Anyway, Fox makes the obviously false promise that if she helped him make his weapon of mass destruction, that he would do what he could to protect her daughters. And that's the whole reason why she refused to get involved in the first place, is because she didn't want to cause anything to happen to her daughters. And he even tried to pull the card, well, will you help Charlie and them? How is this any different? I'm like, that's different. They were defending themselves from attack. They weren't actively going to attack Heaven. They were defending the hotel, which was about to be attacked. There's a difference. Anyway, he gets a very reluctant Carmilla to agree. And Zestiel was watching, I guess in bug form, the whole time. And essentially tells her that when you have finally come to your senses, I'll come back. But until then, I'm not sticking around and helping with this whole thing. So, yeah, Zestiel is still not getting involved, which is good. We need at least one other Overlord that's not willing to get involved in this bullshit. And, Vox asks Val to borrow Angel Dust. And I was like, why are you needing to borrow Angel Dust? Like, what are you using him for? I'm assuming he was trying to get more people to agree to help by using Angel Dust's fame or something. And it's at this point is that Velvet and Val are both questioning him. It's like, why are you trying to keep us out of all this? Aren't we supposed to be a team? And Al is just adding fuel to the fire on this point by Velvet and him both swivel around in one of those swivel half chairs, just questioning Vox on this one. And I'm like, yeah, y'all need to start questioning it because that's just stupid. And to be fair, I didn't quite catch that he was trying to pull the V's apart from within when I was doing the reactions. I only found this out while I was watching other reactions, so I obviously didn't mention this during the reactions. But, we get to see what Husk is doing. He went to, I guess, his casino, I'm assuming? And I was like, oh, please don't, because you could win, and then you think you can keep winning, and then you start losing, and that's exactly what happened during his song, Love in a Bottle. He starts winning, and then he gets the high from that, and he keeps playing, and he ends up losing, and gets drunk at the bar. And while he's drinking, Angel Dust pops up, dressed as a woman. I'm assuming that I had assumed when I was watching it that was a wig he was wearing, because there's no way he had fucking long-ass, fluffy hair. And apparently, yeah, that's one of his side jobs. I'm assuming Val knows about it. I don't know. And Angel Dust essentially tells, Husk apologizes for, putting Angel in that situation before with the train and all that, and I actually get the confirmation that he wasn't mad about being saved. He wasn't mad about Angel Dust saving him. He was mad about that somebody would actually think he was worth saving, which is very, very sad. Hopefully they can work on that with him. And, Baggy and Charlie go to try and talk to Carmilla and get her to, agree to not help Vox with all this because, yeah, it doesn't work. She essentially tells them, yeah, I'm not doing this, or I am doing this, you can't talk me out of it, I have to protect those close to me, just like you guys did with when I provided you with the weapons. And, yeah, this kind of gets to Baggy, and then I think Charlie finally starts reflecting on how she's been acting, because later on, they end up having a little fun song together where she finally tells her, yeah, I've been thinking about this, I've been stupid, I should have been listening to you, you were right. So thankfully they patched things up, but sadly, the patching up for Angel Dust and Husk is short-lived because he goes to meet up with Val for a shoot, what he assumes is a shoot. But then he tells them that, yeah, plans have changed. And, we find out that Vox has been using Angel Dust as a bit of a sleeper agent type thing. Where he's been hypnotized and told to send back information, including the whole smiting thing by Lucifer. I don't know how he found out, unless Baggy told him after the meeting with Lucifer. And that's why he was so fucking composed. I wonder what he would have looked like had he not known that information. Would he have been worried? I don't know. But he did have that information. Essentially, he's always watching because he always hypnotizes Angel Dust. And Angel Dust has been unintentionally sending information to Vox about everything going on. Everything. And Angel Dust is crushed about this because he's been essentially betraying the others, and he doesn't want to, but he ends up getting hypnotized yet again to help with whatever the heck he's supposed to be helping with. And then Lucifer, I find funny that Lucifer's watching duck-themed, telenovelas? I don't even know what the fuck, who made those? That's what I want to know. I want to know. Did Vox have those made? Or is that something he had made and it's on, video or something, and he's got that saved on his TV or something? I don't know. Because I don't think he would be willingly putting anything Vox-related in his fucking room at this point, considering what just happened. And he gets a call from Charlie asking to come to her location because they want to talk or something, and he's immediately excited to do so. But it wasn't Charlie calling. It was Vox using Charlie's voice, and they're planning on using him as a battery or a power source for whatever weapon they have. And I'm really worried about that. I'm really hoping that he, talked to Charlie on the phone and was planning on going, but then got another call from the real Charlie asking because she wants to apologize, because I'm sure she wants to apologize after how she treated her dad, Because she already patched things up with Aggie, so I'm hoping that she will want to patch things up with her dad, and I'm hoping that happens before he tries to leave. Because then he'll be like, oh wait, why are you calling me again? I'm about to meet up with you. And he was like, wait, what? I haven't called you. And that would hopefully, keep him from getting used as a fucking battery, because I'm sure that's going to, 1, be painful. 2, it's going to break Charlie's heart if she sees that. And 3, I don't want to see my boy in that. I really don't. Because that's the only way I can see them getting into heaven is using him to use his powers to open a portal. That's the only way I can see them doing that. And I'm really thinking that if they don't capture him, they're going to blackmail him and try to use hurting his daughter against him. Like, they're going to threaten Charlie, and since he can't do anything to stop them, that's how they're going to get him. I think that's how they're going to get him, and I hate that. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. I don't want anything to happen to him. Lucifer, please don't listen to them. Please. I'm really scared for the next 2 episodes. I'm really hoping that this is the part 1 and there's going to be a part 2 for season 2 later. I hope. Please. Because I don't want this to be wrapped up in 2 more episodes. Come on. Because I know there's supposed to be a season 3 and 4 coming. I don't want to wait. I want the season 2 to continue, but I want this whole thing to be settled. So they can get back to the whole redemption thing. Anyway, I'll figure this out. And I'll see you guys in the next video.